Today we'll be talking about Reynolds versus the United States, which was decided in 1859. Now, who was Reynolds? George Reynolds was an old order Mormon living in Utah. The Mormon religion at the time supported plural marriages. Polygamy was even seen as a religious obligation of Mormon men under certain circumstances. Now the facts. George Reynolds lived in Utah with his wife, which was Mary Ann Tundenham. Then he later married Amelia Jane Schofield, still married to Mary. And now in the law, it does state that under federal guidelines that every person having a husband or wife living who marries another, whether married or single, in a territory or other place over which the United States have exclusive jurisdiction, is guilty of bigamy and shall be punished by a fine of no more than 500 and be imprisoned by a term of no more than 5 years. Now, Reynolds did argue that this violated his First Amendment rights to free exercise of religion and that it was unconstitutional. His religion stated that the consequence of refusing to marry multiple women was eternal damnation. The United States' argument was that Congress cannot pass a law for the government of the territories which shall prohibit the free exercise of religion. The First Amendment to the Constitution expressly forbids such legislation. Congress was deprived of all legislative power over mere opinion, but was left free to reach actions which were in violation of social duties or supervision of good order. Now, the question that was asked was, does the federal anti-bigamy statute violate the First Amendment free exercise clause because plural marriage is part of religious practice? Now, the problem was that by being married to two women at the same time, Reynolds had broken the law, but as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he argued that his religion required him to marry multiple women. Now, in the Supreme Court, Reynolds argued that the First Amendment guarantees that a person will be free from any law prohibiting the exercise of religion. No federal law could interfere with a person's religious beliefs or with actions based on that belief. The federal law was unconstitutional, and Reynolds' conviction should be overturned. Now, in the Supreme Court, the United States argued that this case presented an obvious and compelling need to regulate a question of behavior offensive to public will. The First Amendment or any other amendment could not be used to shield a person against criminal behavior. No person may violate the law and claim an exemption from punishment by reason of a religious belief. The law was constitutional, and the conviction and punishment of Reynolds were just and appropriate for a civil society. Now, the decision was that a government may not regulate what religion you practice, but each person must follow the laws of the U.S. The judges that ruled, here are a few of them, which were Waite, Clifford, Swade, Miller, Field, Strong, Bradley, and Hunt. Now, an example of this case would be that if your religion says you have to sacrifice a human person, you cannot exercise that right since it is against the law. And I'll just finish this off with a quote from Thomas Jefferson, which states that the law can reach actions only and not opinions. By this, Jefferson meant that while a person's beliefs/opinions were his alone and could not be subject to any law, the government could regulate what people do, like their actions. Now we'll go off to my partner.
The info about George Reynolds was he was a resident of the Utah Territory. His wife was Mary Ann Sydenham. He was still married to Mary Ann when he married Amelia James Schofield. Federal law stated every person having a husband or wife living who marries another, whether married or single, in a territory or other place over which the United States have exclusive jurisdiction, is guilty of bigamy and shall be punished by a fine of no more than 500 and by imprisonment for a term of no more than 5 years. By being married to two women at the same time, Reynolds had clearly broken the law, a fact he did not dispute. Burt Reynolds was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Reynolds was argued that his religion required him to marry multiple women. This Supreme Court case focuses on a case which tested the limits of religious liberty. The court ruled unanimously that a law banning polygamy was constitutional and did not infringe upon individuals' First Amendment right to free exercise of religion. Reynolds' argument was because he was acting in concert with his religious belief. Punishment Reynolds for polygamy amount to violating his right under the Fourth Amendment. Therefore, the law outlawing polygamy is unconstitutional. The court upheld his convention and Congress' power to prohibit polygamy. The court reasoned Congress cannot pass a law for the government of the territories which shall prohibit the free exercise of religion. The First Amendment to the Constitution expressly forbids such legislation. The court agreement. Finally, the court concluded that people cannot excuse themselves from the law because of their religion. Can a man excuse his illegal practices because of religious belief? To permit this would be able to make the prophet's doctrines of religious belief superior to the law of the land, and in effect to permit every citizen to become a law unto himself. Government could exist only in name under such circumstances. The facts were that George Reynolds was charged with bigamy. He pleaded not guilty but was found guilty. He let the court know that he was a member of the Mormon Church. An accepted doctrine in the church is the practice of polygamy. He asked that if the jury found that he was married, then the verdict must not be guilty because he was fulfilling a religious duty. Issue. The point of examination is what is the religious freedom which had been guaranteed. The holding was that court's instruction that a jury needed to establish a man's intent to break the law forbidding polygamy in order to find him guilty of the offense did not violate his First Amendment rights to the free exercise of religion. The fact that he broke the law in pursuit of his religious duty offered the man no protection in the eyes of the law. The rationale. Because society is built upon the civil contract of marriage, the government can permissibly pass laws regulating marriage, permitting a certain class of people to willfully defy the nation's law without repercussions. In the same way, religious liberty would permit every citizen to become a law unto himself and led to the existence of a government in name only. While laws of the nation cannot interfere with religious beliefs and opinions, they can interfere with religious practices. The case, man convicted of polygamy appeals jury instruction and trial court's decision to not instruct the jury differently. The importance of the case was that TSC rules that the First Amendment does not protect religious practices that are considered to be criminal, such as bigamy. These are some pictures